Hello and thanks for joining me today on the ClearBlade Technical Blog Series. My name's Allsbrook and today we're going to discuss integrations with external systems using webhooks. Webhooks are a real popular way to allow one system to rather anonymously send data to another system. We see this in lots of out-of-the-box IoT vertical solutions. We see this in proprietary connectivity, whether it's over LoRa or over SIM cards. We also see this a lot in payment processors, so getting data back from payment processors knowing that it was a valid transaction. Essentially in the webhook model, what we're doing is you must provide a web server to capture that external request where data will come in. Great model, obviously ClearBlade likes it, it matches very well with our code service model. But what we've seen in the ecosystem is there's a lot of variety in how people will actually post that data or get that data to us. We've also seen the inability of a number of these enterprise systems to do things like the more advanced auth models that we would like to have in our systems, much less multi-factor auth. So there's a real need to do some separation of this webhook acceptance of the data wherever it may come from before it gets into our IoT solutions if we're going to protect ourselves from, say, DDoS attacks or client spoofing. So what we're going to use is the ClearBlade platform, and we're going to use the adapter model actually to separate and provide us that protection. So we'll lay down an edge on the cloud server and then put down a webhook adapter. The whole model here is seen on your screen of we're going to use Postman to send several different types of HTTP requests in. The webhook adapter will send that up. And then we'll leverage the edge auto sync capability to move that information, and then ultimately we'll display it in a portal so we can know how things are working. So let's dive right in. As is normal, we usually start by looking at our IPM or IoT package manager. We'll browse this package manager for adapters that might make sense to us, and specifically we see we have a webhook adapter. This webhook adapter is ready for us to use, so I'll just copy it. One thing we're going to do different this time than we normally do is we're actually going to import this package into an existing system. I have an intelligent transportation system, perhaps I've been working on it for a while, and now I want to bring in this capability, so I'll just simply dive into it and click install. Now we're going to import into that intelligent transportation solution, and we'll paste in that URL. All the data is there, and now we'll add it directly into our system. So one of the things we notice when we look at the setup instructions is we really have two things we need to do out of the gate. First is alter our constants file, and then we need to run our setup service. So we'll do those two things quickly together. Browse to code, select constants. We're going to change this URL. And next we're going to run our setup service, where it's going to create some default users. I highly recommend reviewing this and changing the passwords before you push this to production yourself. So now we have all our users and devices and roles created successfully for us. With those two pieces done, let's look around a little bit in our IoT solution. We'll go down to deployments and see that we now have a new deployment created for us. In here, this web adapter or webhook adapter has one adapter deployed and it has one edge. So pretty simple deployment model, but we'll go ahead and now look at the actual adapter itself. This adapter here has a start command associated with it. If we were to put this into edit mode, we'd see that we need to do things like platform URL, message URL, a port to listen on, a key, and secret. So let's change those out quickly. And we've done everything here, but before we leave this screen, we'll notice that we've set the port of 8000. I've used 8000 because it's a pretty easy one to get open within our cloud. It's a little obscure from people randomly trying to send data to this server or attempt to hack it, while it's also easy and doesn't require root passwords below 1000. So we can run this without being sudo or open that without being sudo. That's all we have to change for that adapter, so I'll click update. And now the changes have been applied. So the last phase is we need to actually deploy our edge. Okay, so let's click on our edge page, and we see we have several setup connection instructions, but we also notice the edge one is not connected. I'll click the setup instructions, and we'll select a generic cloud 64-bit architecture. We have 4 commands we're going to need to run to do the full download and install and set up the right permissions. Before I do that, I'll go ahead and show I do have kind of a bare metal piece of compute or raw virtualized compute here in the Google Cloud. The only thing I've done beyond the normal is I've created a network tag to open that port 8000 for external hits. So let's now grab the first command, which is the download. I'll copy that. And then we have a cell session directly into that new environment, compute, and we'll download. Next, we will do the unpacking. Third, we'll run the actual install command. And finally, we'll set the permissions. That's pretty easy for getting things installed. The next thing we'll do is we'll actually grab the startup command, copy that, and we'll paste that in. Now after I do this, what we're going to notice is it's going to pull down all of that adapter down to the local client for us. So we don't have any of that deployment challenge that might come up later, and we'll be able to edit and change that deployment in the future. So let's get this started. Okay, so now the adapter's down. We actually see it starting up here in the command line, and it appears to have started successfully, but let's go validate that together. We'll close out the edge view. We'll quickly click on the adapter, and we'll just see, oh good, we now have one running, and we can look at the logs, and we see that it's listening on port 8000. So that's good news. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're actually going to want to just look at our messaging tab, see that no messages are there, and then I like to start by trying out a browser hit directly against that instance, that adapter. Okay, so that browser hit's happened, and now if I refresh, we see that we have the webhook adapter received, and we have 2 messages. One is for the little favicon that shows up at the top of your image, and then the other is actually trying to load the web page. So we know it's up and listening. We can see the messages starting to arrive over MQTT. We've got a nice little friendly way to view this. I'm going to open the portal to look at the data flying in. We'll bring that up, and we need to begin by simply logging in as our default user. And on the left, we see the incoming requests, and we see the details of each request. This means each request is flowing in as a message available to us. Now let's have a little fun and try out some stuff with Postman. I've set a Postman request here. It's issuing a post method. It's sending some data over a query string. We have several headers like processor or processor ID, along with a very unique body. In this case, we're sending raw. We could certainly send whatever we wanted. But I'll click send, and we notice almost in near real time we've seen that post arrive. In there, again, we break it down into all the variables we just passed to it. So nothing is hidden from us for how we might need to interact with that data or use it to integrate with our intelligent transportation system. Of course, I could try doing something like a put, and we could send many more. And in near real time, we have each one of those things bouncing across several units of compute and arriving back at our browser here for integration. So I appreciate you joining us today on the ClearBlade Technical Blog Series and how we can use webhook adapters to integrate with third-party external systems.